What's up, YouTube? And I am back. Oh my gosh. I know I try to film a video at least, we film a lot of videos, and I try to edit them and get them out at least once a week, but we have been going through so many transitions and things over here that it has been super difficult to try to edit these videos. But I am back, and today I'm going to be talking about how to start homeschooling. Now, this video would be way too long if I give you all the tea, but what I did do is I am actually in the midst and almost done editing. So it is completely written. I have been going through editing it. I have been sending it to other people for their eyes to edit it. But I have completed a how to start homeschooling ebook, a step-by-step guide. And it is not just an ebook to read. I'm different. I'm an educator. So I typically want people to, get points and work through things and have a strategy and a plan. So it is a step-by-step guide book. So you'll be able to, after each chapter in the book, you'll be able to, there will be questions that you'll be able to answer in terms of getting you to think deeper about your curriculum, what you're going to do, your plans, action steps, things like that. And then of course, places for you to just write your own thoughts, your notes and things like that. So I hope you're super excited. When that is ready, I will definitely be putting a link for every single video. It will be there. For now, again, I'm editing it. I'm almost done, and I've been editing for 2 weeks, literally. I just want it to be that good. I want it to be personable. I want it to be friendly and supportive and not just something informative and dry, because if you know me, you know that I am anything but dry. So yeah, I have to try to put all this energy into the book. Okay. So hopefully you guys are as excited as I am. If you're not following me on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, go ahead and do so. Because if I'm not over here on YouTube, I'm definitely on TikTok. And if I'm not on TikTok, I'm definitely on Instagram. And we're doing a little stuff on Facebook too. So just follow. It's Dr. Leah pretty much everywhere, and you'll be covered. And so I'm going to get into at least some of the steps of the video. So I'm just going to do a little bit of chapter 1. And so chapter 1 is really called Getting Started, right? That is literally what everyone is going to want the ebook for, is how to get started. Hey, I'm pulling my kids out. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know curriculum, right? I got you. So the first thing when you're thinking about your homeschooling journey and you're thinking about getting started, one of the things that I talk about is not necessarily jumping into what curriculum that I need to use, right? I know you put them in school, the kids get the curriculum, the teachers teach and all that. But when you homeschool, one of the first places that you need to start is with your state. You need to look at your state regulations and determine what it is you need to do. Now, some states have very lax rules. They don't care. I live in one of them. It's so weird to me because we have this rule here, and it's you don't have to really tell us that you're homeschooling, right? I don't have to send a notice of intent to homeschool. I don't have to do any of that. But if someone asks me, I need to have attendance records and things like that. Why would you be asking me for attendance records if you don't know what I do? That's beside the point, okay? You might live in a state that requires you to send a notice of intent to your district, to your state board of education. You need to hop on the internet. And one of the sites that I have in the ebook is HSLDA. So that's your Homeschooling and Legal Defense Resource. You go to their site, you click on your state, and you get to see what you need to do. Some states require you to have notice. Some states also require you to teach required subjects. So they may say you have to have a reading language arts, ELA. You have to have an ELA curriculum as part. You have to have mathematics. You have to have science. So you have to look at your states to see what is the required curriculum. What must I absolutely teach? When I started homeschooling here, I eliminated history for kindergarten altogether. Actually, we just started it in 2nd grade, so we didn't do it for K or 1st grade because it wasn't required and it's not my favorite subject. So I just eliminated altogether. I figured that when we got to like 2nd, 3rd grade, we would start it then. And for me, it's personally fine. I have a PhD and I have never once needed any of the history that I've learned in school except for to pass 8th grade, to pass high school, and to get my college degree. The only 3 times. And I actually took a CLEP exam for my college degree. I've never needed any of that information. Super helpful to know, I guess, but yeah, it's not part of our curriculum. I mean, it is now, but it wasn't then. And so you might live in a state though that says that you have to teach it. So go ahead and make sure that you know what your required subjects are if you live in a state. Know if you have to send in a portfolio. Some states require you to send in a portfolio that shows their progression from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Some states require you to send in grades. Some states require you to have your child tested by a professional that is not you to show that they are meeting standards. So that is the reason why I'm saying that is the first place that you need to start. Once you get there, you'll at least know what to teach, but then you might need help with how am I keeping up with standards? So again, all of that is in the book. So the next thing is after you decide or after you determine what you need to do, chapter 2 is talking about like just choosing your homeschool path. Now, for the most part, I would assume that most people are going to choose a traditional homeschool path. And the reason why I believe that most people will do that is because we are creatures of habit and we're only going to do what we know, right? So if you are like, okay, I think homeschool should be like school, which is what most people believe, then you'll most likely start with a traditional path of homeschooling and you'll try to mimic school. You'll get books and papers and printouts from all these websites and looking for free stuff. Don't do that, by the way. I mean, you're going to pay a fee to send your kids to school. So if you need to pay for better resources to make sure that you actually have a curriculum map and it's something that you don't have to figure out, you should probably do that. Okay. Just save yourself stress, time, and energy. Okay. But a lot of people will probably do traditional homeschooling because it mimics school, okay? And then you're going to, like I said, get all the papers and the printouts and pencils and sit your kids at a desk and try to have all these hours of school and things like that. And you'll continue to do that until you burn out and realize that you could probably do something different, okay? So traditional schooling is, again, reflecting on similar structures and approaches that you are comfortable with and that you know, until you figure out that you might need to do something different. Because it is my belief that if you pulled your kids out of the structure of real school, then why would you want to do that at home? Okay. There's also Christian-based homeschooling where you take that traditional approach, but then you sprinkle in some like faith-based materials, provide that spirituality aspect. You can also take a Montessori homeschooling approach where you're like, okay, I do want my children to learn, reading and math and science and all this great stuff, but I do want them to have a sensory approach. I want them to be able to do hands-on projects and stuff like that. And that is actually really good. I did all that stuff when I taught public school, but you may want to start doing that at home. And so there are going to be plenty of resources in the ebook for each of these. So like if you say, I want to do faith-based schooling, I want to do Montessori, world schooling, anything like that, I actually have resources for where you can go and find all of those things inside of the ebook. I also am starting to write STEAM units some are already on my website. So thematic units and STEAM units for your children to be able to have an enriched learning approach to their curriculum where they're learning, reading and comprehension and science and math all in one project. That project may take you about a week or 2 to get through, but they will not be missing any subjects when they do it and they'll be having fun learning. Okay. World schooling, if you are a globetrotter and you love traveling, this is a really good approach because your kids get to learn they learn from living in the world. They learn from looking, they learn from experiencing. And even if you're not world schooling, you can throw in a little bit of world schooling. When you travel, you can make sure that your children have these rich experiences that are included in their homeschool. So instead of going on vacation and taking a break, you can go on vacation and then turn your vacation into a world schooling unit for that week if you're not a continual world schooler. There's a Charlotte Mason. She is literally considered the classic for homeschooling. If you take her approach, basically it's like classic literature, learning and having an appreciation for the world around us and things like that. And then of course there's virtual schooling, which are all over the place. And I don't mean virtual schooling like one of those K-12 because that is school at home. That is not homeschool, but there are virtual learning platforms for you to facilitate your homeschool program. And so in chapter 3 is where I go into what is the difference between what is the difference between homeschooling and virtual schooling? And so that you'll have a very good idea of what virtual school versus homeschool is. What is a virtual program at home versus virtual school? Still an alternative to public school, but it's not homeschool. And so I talk about that. I talk about how to meet the needs of your students, especially if they are special needs learners. I talk about setting your schedules. I talk about creating your learning space. So I have a video. You can look at the video that I have in the description box to see how we set up our homeschool space to give you some ideas of how to set up yours. Also talks about not even just having school in the house, but what if you go to the library? What if you go to the park? Things like that. How to have school wherever you are, because again, learning can take place anywhere. One of the most challenging things now that I'll also get into is motivating your child to learn. If you have been homeschooling, even for a little bit of time, you've probably already experienced those days of frustration where your kids are throwing tantrums and they're not having it. They're not having it. They're not doing school. They don't want to do it. And you're just as frustrated as they are. And you don't know what to do. You're probably on the verge of wondering if you made a mistake and should I send them back to public school? And even though in the back of your mind is not what you want to do, you also don't want the frustration every day. And you know that if you're not teaching and they're not learning, that no learning is happening. Okay. So I have so many ideas on motivating your child to learn. One of the things that we typically do at the beginning of every year, and again, another video that we have is that first day of homeschool, but I typically do and have always done an interview with my child because I want to know, what do you like? What do you like? Not what I want school to look like for you, but what do you like? What do you want to learn? So my child, which she has said, I do not love math, but I love science. I kind of like reading, but I love language arts, right? So I have figured out a way to sprinkle those things into some of the fun things that she likes to do, right? She loves science, but not math. Now, I know that science and math go hand in hand together. So what do? Science projects where we have to use math. And then she begins to see that they actually go together. And once she knows that they go together, she's now starting to love math. She's starting to develop a liking and a love for mathematics because I've basically been able to present it to her in a different way that is not dry. And it lets her actually see, wow, I need this in the real world. She loves cooking, right? So I taught her how cooking is mathematics. We need to know measurements. We need to know fractions. 3/4 is only part of a number. It is not a whole number, right? And so we go through those things, and when we are able to show them how the things that they love incorporate some of the things that they need, then they begin to develop an appreciation. And even if she doesn't grow up completely loving it, she will definitely grow up having had a positive experience with mathematics. So one of the things I talk about is talking to your child, observing them. How do they play? My daughter loves to do things with her hands all the time. She's always liking to create, whether it's slime or whether it's making fake food or whatever. I know that she loves to do things with her hands. So if I'm going to teach math, it makes sense for me to have math manipulatives, right? She doesn't love math, but she loves to use her hands. Do you all see where I'm going with this? So I talk about talking to them, observing to them, providing them opportunities to explore. Sometimes it's not you telling them exactly what they need to do, but allowing them to explore how things might be able to work, and then ask you questions, and boom, this is where learning starts. There's so much more, but that is the gist of being able to motivate them and crafting personalized plans to keep them engaged in their learning. When you do this, you will be able to address most behaviors, but it's not an end all be all. It's not a 100% fix for every single child. And so in those cases where you're like, I've done all this stuff and I'm still having problems with my child, then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 different things that you could do, including seeking professional assistance with your child's learning as one of the resolutions for if you're still having some of those challenging behaviors. How to create challenging and engaging learning environment for your child. So I'll give you at least one of the things. So when you're teaching your subjects, one of the things that you could do to make it challenging and engaging so that it's not dry and boring is that you can ask your child open-ended questions to things that they are doing. For example, if you're reading, you will have papers or a curriculum that will tell you to ask questions like, what is the main character's name in the story? Okay, but that's good. But instead of asking something like that, you can say, what is some of the main ways that the author develops the main character in the story? You can also ask questions like, why do you think the author chose this person as the main character? You can also say, like, if you were the author of this story, in what ways would you have developed the plot, or how would you have ended this story? Things like that. It sparks discussion. It sparks creativity because it allows your child to be able to think further, right? You can even ask them to write a part 2 to the story. Now, if they're young and they can't write, you can ask them to verbalize this. You can ask them to play this out. Hold on one second. All right, sorry about that. I am waiting on my new laptop and I saw the ring notification on my phone. I did not want to miss my computer because then it's Saturday. The facility that has it might be closed and I have to wait till Monday, and I've been waiting for it all week. So anyway, so I was saying that you could ask them to write a part 2 to the story. This allows them to develop their own creativity. It allows them to interject their own thoughts. You get to see what their structures of their beliefs are, things like that. And students will find that way more interesting and fun than saying, oh, who's the main character? What's the plot? What's the climax of the story? So boring. We want to make it interesting for them. So there are several ways. I even provided questions that you could ask for each subject. So not just reading, but what can you do for math? What can you do for science, social studies, history, every single thing. Then we get into creating a vision for your child. Probably should go first, but of course there are more other important things to do. But in terms of you facilitating, this should be one of the first things. In terms of it in the book, it is in here as a guide, but helping your child create a vision for their learning. The more in tune they are and the more autonomy they have to create the space in which they would like to learn, and the more autonomy they have on what they like to learn, the better your homeschooling experience will be. Remember, children are just little people, right? We are their facilitators. We are not their dictators of what they have to do. We are basically here to guide them, to lead them, to inspire them, to empower them, and pretty much motivate them to grow up and be the highest and best version that they can be with our help. They are not little versions of us that we create to do all the things that we wanted to do, but didn't do because their life path is not the same as our life path and their purpose is not the same as our purpose. So I really do think that homeschooling from an aspect of, well, I loved art and I didn't get to do art, so I'm gonna make my child do art, is not the way to approach homeschooling. But figuring out what they like and giving them some sort of autonomy in what they want to do is going to serve you and your child better. And what you will probably find is that the more things that you give them that they love and they're interested in, they're going to continue doing that on their own. I find my daughter researching things all the time, and she comes and asks me these wild questions. And I'm like, why do you even know that? Or why do you even want to know that? And it is because this is what piques her interest. But the good thing is that I planted a seed for her to be a learner, a lifelong learner who is not afraid to go out and do additional research to find more things that she likes and loves. That is, for me, the biggest benefit of homeschooling, because when we're in regular public school, we don't really have that kind of autonomy. We kind of have to teach to the curriculum, and every now and then you can throw in some fun things to help children learn because you got testing and all that. We don't necessarily have that in homeschooling, so you can have all the fun you want to have, and I want to make sure that you do it. Building a supportive community like this one, okay? So if you haven't liked and subscribed, what are you doing? Why have you watched this video for so long and you have not liked and subscribed to this channel? Please do, and definitely share with other homeschool moms. I see hundreds and if not thousands of comments a day of parents saying, I don't know how to homeschool. I want to start homeschooling. Where do I start? There are plenty of Facebook groups, but I would have to say that when you have Facebook groups, you're going to get more people in the group who are looking for support because they don't know where to start. And there's going to be less people in the group who actually know what to do. This is a page of an educator where I have homeschooled my child successfully so far. Let's keep going, okay? And I've also educated tons of children from kindergarten all the way through master's levels in college. I have impacted thousands of classrooms, okay? I have impacted tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of students. And so I'm not saying that I know everything, but I am an amazing resource. So if you have not, like and subscribe, and please share with another parent who actually wants to know what to do. All right. And so that other thing is that find a supportive community, whether it's through co-op programs, whether it is through a Facebook community, whether it is liking and subscribing to this channel. Find some type of supportive community, because even though more and more people are starting to homeschool, it can still be a lonely journey. I still, with a PhD in education, with having taught all the children that I've taught, I still have people asking me if I'm okay homeschooling my daughter. If I think that she's going to learn everything that she needs to learn homeschooling my daughter. I've taught everybody else's child. Why can't I teach mine, right? There are still people pressuring me to put her in school. What if she's lonely? What if she's this? It is a lonely journey because everyone still doesn't agree. There's a lot of negative connotations out there about homeschooling. So you make sure that you find a community of like-minded moms and dads, if they're, homeschooling, to be able to lean on for support and guidance, and even just daily or social connections, not just for your child, but for you too. And then so learning beyond the home is having different resources to lean on to help further your homeschooling experience. For example, we go to the library a lot. It is free. So if you're looking like, hey, where can I get materials for my children? You can go to the library. They have author read time. They have, at least in my library, they have like Lego times. They have story time. They have busy bags, they have games, they have puzzles. There's so many things at the library, and the only thing that you need to access them is the ability to get to the library and sometimes a library card, and all of those are free. So of course I have more resources, but I'm just giving you the tea that I can, because I know this video is probably going to be a little long, but hopefully it's good. It's full of good information for you. There's a lot of other things in here. It's terms of beginning your homeschool journey, confidence in the next steps, like what might you even do after homeschooling for your children so that you are feeling very confident that they can move on to the next level, whether it's either in their education or in their life. But That is all that I have for you right now. I can do another video if you want me to. Definitely say part 2 in the comments. Also, comment your favorite part of this video and comment any type of like curriculum that you're having trouble with, because again, I am starting to create STEAM/STEM curriculum, as well as just some thematic units that you as a parent can purchase from my website to use in conjunction with your current curriculum or the curriculum that you're thinking about using. So anyway, thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yes.